accessible. The latest thing from OpenAI is really two things together. One, they've generally improved the training of that model at the same size, still at the 175 billion parameter level, to make GPT 3.5. And then they did specialized training to make it good at interactions. And that is ChatGPT. So it's a GPT 3.5 model wrapped inside of a trained user interface that's good at sort of figuring out how to have a conversation. Much of what you see is the underlying capabilities of this GPT 3.5 model. And it is the most capable model for composition and question answering and summarization that we've seen yet. And in fact, it's very good at not only doing the most basic thing, which is getting the syntax right, but of being able to capture how you make arguments or how you tell stories, because it is exposed to enough stories and enough arguments that it is able to effectively replicate that kind of reasoning applied to whatever the subject matter is of the discussion. One of the things that I find quite interesting and very powerful is that it's not just learning about reasoning from being exposed to lots of natural language arguments, but also from programming languages. So it's exposed to huge numbers of programs. And you can think about a program as a particular form of logical argument. And so it is inheriting some of its reasoning-like capability from the structure of reasoning you find in programs. And so it is certainly more sophisticated in simulating reasoning than we've ever seen before in AI, I think. And that's part of what makes it powerful. But it also is heavily reliant on reproducing the ideas it has been exposed to before and repackaging that experience in really very traditional, mainstream, average ways. So I think the chat interface is a very clever move because it makes it so accessible, but it is, to me, at least as much, probably more of a PR victory than a technological victory. I mean, they found what is going to be the thing that causes people to get direct experience with an AI and building something into a chat interface rather than some cloud API where you have to learn how to construct prompts very carefully, has made it much easier for people to come up with a wealth of examples and to get into interesting arguments about the meaning of different kinds of results, because it's much easier to try it in so many different ways. And there is a pretty sharp contrast between what the broad public is doing, including tech leadership and people who wouldn't ordinarily be programming but who are playing with the interface, that you can try things out and see its power and diversity pretty easily. People who are the leading practitioners, people who are trying to solve specific problems, they are not that moved by the chat interface. Because they're used to saying, no, I am going to have to engineer a prompt because I have a very specific problem I need to solve. And I'm going to work on how exactly, what exactly is the right input to get the answer that best answers this problem. And I may try lots and lots of different ways of composing my problem and making it an input into a GPT-3 model in order to get useful answers out. I don't think there's anything about the ChatGPT interface which really changes that. You know, people who are using it seriously will think carefully about exactly how they ask the question, because they will get quite different results making even very small changes in their input. And so they have to focus much more narrowly. But I mean, I think I can say, broadly speaking, we think about large language models as an incredible opportunity. It's delivering functionality of a sort that we haven't had before, and it opens up many doors for solutions for the problems we have in collaboration or security or networking in lots of new ways. And it's important to bear in mind that large language models, like every other part of machine learning and AI, is just a tool. It is, in a sense, a programming method. It is a building block that you use in a larger system to accomplish some end goal for some real human user. And so it doesn't stand by itself. It's integrated inside of something which is architected to solve some very specific set of problems. And so it just gives us a new tool in our toolbox to go solve those problems. And it will make some problems much easier to solve. It'll make some problems a little bit easier to solve, and it will be irrelevant for other problems.